All right, hey everybody, welcome back to Hawman's Advice Forum. I am the Hawman, and let's go read our fan mail. So I've received two letters or emails from Chris Reagan, and he wanted me to read or discuss his second email that he sent to me. And the reason I'm making this video is because Chris, I really appreciate you sending your essay and all the things that you want to discuss. And you wrote 3 pages, which is really a lot for a fan letter. And I'm guessing that the things that I've talked about has really impacted your worldview. And I appreciate that because a lot of times when I talk about the things that I do, sometimes I feel like I want to give up because it all seems to be going to deaf ears. And so we're going to discuss your letter. I'm going to post a link below. If there's anybody who wants to have a topic of discussion, you're always welcome to write a comment. And let's read your fan letter. So, or I don't know if it's a fan letter, but a letter. So the title is What the Pandemic Has Shown and a Vision of a Better Society. Before I start, just want to make a note that there are some stylistic errors and maybe grammar choices that I would have changed, but that's neither here or there. Just to make a point. Well, that's what I was thinking when I was reading, but I think the overall content is good. So you start off with this essay has 2 parts. The first is thoughts on this worldwide pandemic, and the second offers some thoughts on how to improve society. The answer, in parentheses, you write, surprise, is not through a vaccine, more technology, or having more school. The answer goes beyond a drug or machine and should be found in the people themselves. Now, to start with the pandemic, there are plenty of obese adults in this country. They, implying those overweight adults, pass their bad habits onto their kids. Drugs and alcohol poisoning contribute to a death toll similar to COVID-19 every year in society. And where was the shutdown back then? And just to make a comment, I feel the same way about cars. I've almost died in a car accident. And, every year, many people die in cars. In fact, in where I live, I remember there was like a car death counter. Like, we don't have that in my home state, but here they do because so many people get in accidents. And it seems like it's just, I used to think that maybe society just had an acceptable level of risk, but for some reason with COVID-19, everything's got to be shut down. So, to your next paragraph, people say if we live our lives as normal, won't most people get the virus? If we're talking about most people in that case, what about several studies that show the majority of adults will be obese? What about the average person logging in over 4 hours of screen time a day? Likely is higher during these times. What about an increasing number of people who report little to no social contact? Aren't all those issues worth society coming to a halt? In fact, those issues of obesity, drug usage, excessive screen time, loneliness, and more social issues kill just as many, if not more, lives than coronavirus. And I totally agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's weird how people seem to demand things that don't benefit them. So if you're talking about like the business shutdown, how many people have had their lives financially ruined, and then they go on camera, well, I support this shutdown even though my business is ruined because it's for the good of society, even though you probably don't know a single person who's been affected by this personally. But for some reason all the celebrities have it, like Elchis Iba. Okay, so next paragraph. This list of social issues is quite large, so why not come to a societal halt over obesity? Let's promote healthy eating, and instead of social distancing at least 6 feet apart, let's adopt if processed, microwavable, or contains a big list of ingredients list. It's not wise to eat it. Put that slogan at the grocery stores if we care about helping people. The virus has less than a 1% mortality rate, mainly affects people with pre-existing conditions, and is harmless after 2 weeks to a normal person. How about if we fixed obesity, drug usage, and gave people friends in real life? Maybe there wouldn't be so many people with pre-existing conditions. Instead of addressing the symptoms which caused a worldwide halt, let's address the causes. And that's really the medical system that we have, where people it's instead of looking the human body as a holistic thing, as one big interconnected system, unfortunately, the medical system over encourages specialization. So if you're have problems with the kidney, you're going to see the kidney doctor rather than saying, okay, how is your kidney affected? How does your kidney affect, let's say, your lungs and your whole system, right? There's no sense of wholeness in modern society. Okay. So the next one paragraph, you say the causes are the true health crisis. I think you meant the causes of the true health crisis destroying not just our great nation. I think I'm not sure if I understand the sentence, but I'll just kind of read it. The cause of the all right. So the health crisis is destroying not just our great nation, but this whole world. Let's replace social distancing with the fact that with strengthening communities. I imagine if communities were strong, then a little virus wouldn't do much harm and people would be much better mentally and physically. However, addressing social issues takes effort. Taking a pill, binge watching Netflix at home, and getting a vaccine takes little to no effort. The path of least resistance usually wins. In this case, it took a virus with less than a 1% mortality rate rather than just one of the systemic issues to shut down one of the many systemic issues to shut down society. Even if this magic vaccine gets developed, the systemic problems will still need to be solved. And that's true. And the other thing you have to understand is that the people who caused this shutdown don't care about society and they don't care about human lives. Maybe you might already know this, but a lot of people out there, even the people in charge, don't care if they destroy your life. And I've talked about this before, where people will care more about controlling you, having the ability to control you, and feeding their own self-importance, aka ego and power, than their own personal responsibilities to their neighbors, their families, their friends. They don't care about that. So, also, I don't mean to say New World Order, but the censorship of different opinions from the WHO are surprising. Not surprising to me because they're controlled, just by corporate entities, and there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff there. But okay, and then you say that's one of the many reasons I don't use social media. The owners turned their sites from free speech to an episode of Rugrats. Also, the counterculture will attack any heterodox view. For instance, if I post the true crisis is obesity, not a little virus, take care of yourselves during these times, I wonder how many likes and comments that post will get. Now that I'm on the topic of the cancel culture, I'll switch to the second part of essay, which is building a better society. To be honest, I see during I see the problems of my lifetime only getting worse. However, it doesn't hurt for a few people to try to take on the tide of our problems coming our way. To start, there are many issues facing our society today, and there are too many to cover. However, I'll attempt to cover some of the major issues I've seen throughout the years. The first is poor diet. The problem is exacerbated by little to no exercise and not getting enough sleep. Poor diet so I'm not sure how to wake people up regarding this issue. Since I'm not writing this paper for the general public, I find it disgusting to see morbidly obese people. One observation is that if a person has ever played chess or been influential in military, they should know the idea of sacrifice. To me, morbidly obese people are pawns ready to be exploited and gone from this world. However, there are other pawns out there. That isn't to say I don't wish them or would criticize them, but society has ignored this issue. I think the ignorance of society is due to people's ego and how they can't hear reasonable criticism, even if you offer a solution afterwards. Think about it. Most people don't want to hear a solution to a problem since they're too cynical to admit that they have problems. For me, I noticed the most improvement I got out of my life is when I could admit my flaws. It's easier now since I don't recognize my problems. They'll only grow. Moving on to drug usage and alcohol, it pays to quit. Not much to say here. Moving on to sports. I'm fine with people playing sports. However, for people to watch sports, this poses some problems. For a person to eat Hot Pockets, have a beer, and sit on a couch while they watch a player score halfway around the country should strike out as harmful. In psychology, it is quite well known that when a person watches a scary film, the subconscious can't tell the difference between the event happening and real life. And here's the thing about sports and video games. The reason I like video games more than watching sports back then is that you had to actually play with your friends. But I feel like nowadays with Twitch and streaming, watching video games has just become this passive thing, just like watching sports, which I kind of find sad. Okay, so, and then you say if a person can't score the winning touchdown or ski down a mountain, but they can watch it happen, experience high, this feedback loop encourages passivity. Considering people are staying at home during these times, it seems wise for people to turn off the TV, stop eating fast food, go outside and exercise to build their immune system. The belief that wearing a mask will solve all problems while their person eats Hot Pockets and watches porn is foolish. I might be ranting at this point, but I'll say with sports, movies, Netflix, and most of YouTube, it pays to turn off the screen. Obviously, there are a few videos such as truther videos, healthy eating, and other to gain valuable knowledge, but most content online is junk. This leads to technology. For this, I share a similar view to Neil Postman. The problem is not how to get information anymore, but how to cope with information overload. Information is largely junk online, and people gravitate toward junk. In this brave new world, people can't even walk their dogs or kids without staring at their cell phone. It's sad how most parents are neglecting kids, and I've seen kids who look less than 10 years old with the cell phone. My family got the internet when I was 12 years old. However, it seems like almost everyone thinks technology is great. I think that's because if people didn't have a screen to stare all day, they would be forced to think and reflect what they accomplished with their lives, which would lead to negative thoughts. People are getting killed by texting and driving, and somehow self-driving cars will save us. Technology is part of the problem, not the solution. For school, the indoctrination system shouldn't exist. I'm all for learning, but against education. I believe in a world where neighborhoods gather in one place and decide what to learn for the day. This could be growing food, informing themselves about the world, and talking with some community members going through tough times, but let's not bust thousands of kids who are strangers to each other in a building where experts will penalize wrong answers and have bells ringing every hour and a half and get mad if the kid doesn't comply with the system. One size doesn't fit all, and sometimes square pegs won't fit in round holes. Also for sex, say no to porn and casual sex. While this may spark disagreement, I think to say no to masturbation as well. However, we can hopefully agree that porn is enslaving people's lives. Overall, a world of communities from a young age, a world where people value cooperation than competition, a world where people are not told to go to McDonald's rather than not to go outside, a world where critical thinking and not faster and easier solutions through technology is a world I believe in. Instead of 6 feet apart from each other, at least 6 feet apart from fast food restaurants should be the real motto. This world won't likely happen with the rise of 5G. People's reaction to the coronavirus and societal issues only getting worse, even though there's more technology to fix these issues. But this world is possible if we realize that we and not the experts can change this world. I imagine most people would get angry by realizing the wasted potential. However, to the hope of this world, we stand against hedonism, laziness, and passivity, and towards a new earth. And then you have 2 Bible verses here. So, for behold, I create a new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, not come into mind. Isaiah 65:17. And then the next one is, nevertheless, we according to this promise look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. 2 Peter 3:13. However, only if we start to solve the true health crisis of this world, poor diet, technology overload, education, pollution, destroying the environment, people being busy, which implies laziness, and I could go on and on, but let's not fall prey to the matrix. Even though Bill Cooper was a conspiracy theorist who I disagree with overall, he said a few wise words. I'll include a direct quote from him in this book. Behold, a pale horse. The ideas and conclusions expressed in this work are mine alone. It is possible that one or more conclusions may be wrong. The purpose of this book is to convince you, the reader, that something is terribly wrong. It is my hope that this work will inspire you to be in an earnest search for the truth. Your conclusions may be different, but together we can build a better world. Bill Cooper, nicknamed the king of whistleblowers by few. However, if society cannot have self-control and consider society as no more than individuals, I'll end on a dark note if we don't change. And here's another verse from the Bible that you wrote. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat upon was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword and with hunger and with the beasts of the earth. The book of Revelations, chapter 6, verse 8. So that's the 3 pages that you wrote. And yeah, man, I think it's a dark time right now. Scary. Like, I knew, kind of like a frog boiling water. This is where society was headed many, many years ago. But I just didn't know how to cope with it. And maybe I knew too much at the time. But I just know that ever since I turned into an adult, I knew something wasn't right with the world. And society in general does not mind ruining you for its own agenda. And you have to be strong in this world at all times. You'll have people in your life who will tell you that you're an idiot and you're wrong, while they talk about how their life sucks. And when you talk about how their life could be better, they'll get angry at you for it. I experience this all the time. I'm kind of almost immune to it. And I kind of wish I wasn't, but I know that I am. And it kind of sucks that this is how things are. But yeah, I mean, I feel like when I read this, it's like, you for me, it's just preaching to the choir, but I feel like more people need to wake up in order for our society to become a better place. Because I think right now we all could agree that something is terribly, terribly wrong. And that, our society might be, I don't want to say it is. I mean, I've just heard it a lot, but I never really believed it. Or I kind of didn't want to believe it because I want to be ignorant. But maybe our society is headed for collapse. Maybe we won't usher into the new age. There's like so much of an effort to make the individual relevant into society and to raise machine above man. And that's something that Neil Postman talks about a lot. And I think a lot of the things that he talked about did come true, unfortunately. If you look at his interview about the internet and cyberspace, I think it was in the early 90s or late 80s, he talked about all this technology is great, but what about having a sense of community? And I think these are the issues that we're still facing today, that we've been facing for a long time. And even before the rise of social media in 2004. So, all right. So, it's good stuff, man. If you have any thoughts and comments, leave them below. As I was reading this, I want to say this again. I think you had a lot of grammar errors. Well, not a lot, just stylistic choices, grammar errors that you could fix to make your essay more powerful. And, I'm not a writing editor, so I don't really care about that. But I'm just saying, as I was reading it, I was thinking, man, this probably you could have probably made a few better word choices, but that's neither here or there. So, all right. So this is my thoughts or my reading for the essay that you wrote, Chris. And who knows, maybe you can make a video for me just about your thoughts. And even if you suck or you're great, doesn't matter. I feel like that as long as you keep making content and we reach more of an audience, then we'll have an influence on other people. Because look at what YouTube's done. YouTube has censored a lot of alternative media. And this channel is an alternative media channel, right? It's going against the grain of society, of where society's headed. And we're trying to be a force to go in the opposite direction. So it's the Ha Man here again. So if you have any thoughts, comments, leave them below, and I'll see you guys next video.